through our conversations in the last 2 days, we definitely agree on one thing for sure. Something has to change, either the quarterback or the offensive coordinator. One of those two things needs to change because together they are not syncing. So, which one do you think you'd rather stick with? Which one would you rather change?
Rather is a strong word, just because like I don't prefer either one. My biggest issue is that this is so hard to talk about. I hate all of this. This is the worst possible scenario for me. I wanted Justin Fields to be successful. I wanted Luke Getsy to be successful. At this point, it's not about rather or prefer. It's just understanding that things can't coexist together. Luke Getsy clearly has an idea of a quarterback that isn't Justin Fields, and he's trying to coach Justin Fields into a quarterback that he's not. To me, coaching fundamentally needs to be about maximizing players' talents and not forcing them to do things that they are not capable of doing. I would never ask Tom Brady or Joe Burrow or any of these other quarterbacks to run 15 quarterback options or RPOs or quarterback powers. The same way I'm not going to ask Justin Fields to run 15 to 20 screen passes with 5 checkdowns or whatever he's asking him to do. The fact that through 3 days, the internet can't decipher what is the problem with this offense just shows me that there's a lot of things wrong with this offense.
So moving forward, obviously these two cannot coexist.
Yeah.
Where do you make the change? Do you make the change at quarterback? Do you make the change at coordinator?
I think it's easier for a coach to adjust than a player to adjust because a player has to do so many things to adjust to a new system, a new scheme, and everything like that. So a coach essentially just needs to, call plays differently and play to strengths. And so I don't want either of them to go just yet. I'm not asking for anybody's job, and I don't want anybody to get benched. What I need for Luke Getsy to do is to understand that he is not playing to the strengths of the people that he is coaching, and that he is locked onto a system that he believes can be successful. Sounds a lot like Matt Nagy, and we've been through this roller coaster all before. But stop being married to a concept and an idea and just understand the limitations of the people that you have on the field and understand why people are failing and how Justin Fields just doesn't trust the system or can't read the system that you're providing, and just let him do the things that he's good at. If I had to choose one, I prefer to keep Justin Fields because I'm a believer in talent over coaching. I think a lot of guys in the NFL would love to have Justin Fields. I think this is a problem with Ryan Poles, and maybe it's a problem or maybe it's not. I don't know. But you don't get better by benching your best player. Ideally, I want Luke Getsy to have a wake-up call much sooner than he did last year and just start calling the plays that he did the middle of last year right now.
I look at this and, you have 2 interceptions in this game. But one of them being a pick six at the most crucial part of the game. For the one touchdown that Chase Claypool did catch, and he put a little bit more effort into blocking, there's still a lot of confusion on his end. You can still see him looking at the sideline, kind of going, shrugging his shoulders here and there, not knowing what's what. I believe I saw a quote from him saying that there were plays where he thought were run plays that wound up actually being screen passes. That's what happens when you miss a lot of the offseason. You're still behind. Fields looks lost out there. He does. And listen, when you dive into the play calling itself, and when you dive into the routes being ran, and now, we're not in the room, so we don't know what the play that's being called actually is, and we don't know if somebody out there is just messing up a route and not knowing what to do. And that could very well be the case. It could definitely fall on a player. For guys like me and you, just sitting at home on our couches, even just looking at A22 tape and things like that, we go, what the hell is this? Like, even when you draw it up on a whiteboard, it just doesn't make sense. It's almost idiotic to think that they would sit there and teach this I truly believe it's got to be on the field execution that's messing this up, because there's no way that they're running two of the same routes next to each other. There's no way that these two offensive players wind up in a 3 to 5 yard radius of each other when the ball needs to be thrown. I mean, there's just sloppiness everywhere. And I mean, I guess at the end of the day, that does fall on coaching. You don't have these guys ready to go, or you're putting guys in there who are not ready to go. Fields, what concerns me is there are open reads, early open reads. They're not being hit. You got DJ Moore out there clapping at you. Give me the ball. There's plays where there was one play where Claypool was wide open, just staring at Justin Fields. By the time Fields got the ball out, he threw it so high that Claypool barely got a fingertip on it, and the ball, popped up, and I think it fell out of bounds, but it could have potentially even been intercepted there. And it's just sloppy execution on your layups. Like if you're ever going to win with Justin Fields, he needs to be able to do the easy things at least. Now, I think where the fault comes in is they're not. I think they're throwing this all at him at once. They haven't really progressed him and made him feel comfortable in a progressive offense, keeping the things that he does well in there, as well as adding on. And I believe you said that when we did a podcast with Swifty. Hey, you need to build off of what you did last year. You need to just add DJ Moore into it. You don't need to revamp this whole thing and try something new again. Like, just because you got a bunch of shiny new toys, as you've been saying.
The problem here is when things go wrong this much, I don't think you can lay it all on any individual player. It's a team sport. It's a full 11-man sport. You can't put it all on one guy, and the quarterback is included in that. So even if the quarterback can't read the defense or the routes or whatever's going on, you can't ask him to do things that he's not capable of. And I just don't think that Justin Fields is capable of this. And it sucks. We all love Justin Fields. We love him. We wanted him to become like the next 10-year guy. But the quick realization is just like he just can't process defenses like this, and can't process like reads like this. And it's really all bad. But when you have something in this situation, to me, the fundamental question comes down to, what are you trying to execute? And if you're trying to win games, you can do better than this. You can run the ball more. You can run play action more. You can run simpler plays that aren't just screen passes. You can do things that will put your quarterback in a position to win. If you're trying to execute your system, come hell or high water, you're doing a great job.
I think you mentioned, they ran Roshan Johnson and got 30 yards off it, then never did it again.
Never did.
Why are you doing things that don't work and not doing the things that work?
Yeah. I mean, so you would hope that professionals at their job are self-aware enough to understand things that they're good at, things that they're not good at. Fields is clearly just mentally broken, and it's a long season. Could he snap out of it? Sure. We've seen crazier things happen in the NFL where guys just have 1 or 2 games of crazy success and then just have confidence, and moving forward, they're just a totally different guy. Can it happen? Yes. Are my hopes up high for that? No, they're not.
Even if you change coordinators, do you think? I mean, I don't think the scheme changes. I don't know if they're going to do anything different. When you take a look at the NFL, Lamar Jackson got passed up by every team except for the Ravens. They were the only ones willing to completely change and adapt their system to that style of quarterback. And you're talking about a very well-established coaching staff there. These guys, John Harbaugh is one of the best. That's why he's still there. He's been there a long time. You talked about, the capabilities of a quarterback. Well, what about the capabilities of a coaching staff? Or maybe these guys just aren't good enough to be able to change from what they've planned on doing for all off season. Maybe that's just they haven't had that much experience in this league, and maybe they just feel like they need to stick to what they've been practicing. And I mean, it's madness, but I'm not sure that if you get rid of Luke Getsy, that the play calling necessarily changes that much. At some point, if this keeps going the way it's going, and if Fields keeps failing, then you do need to see a different quarterback in the system to be able to then point the finger at the system, right? Like,
if you dump Luke Getsy, So let's run both scenarios here, right? So we've said that a change has to happen somewhere. If you dump Luke Getsy and you get Andrew Janoko, you have to hope. I don't think you can assume, but you have to hope that Andrew Janoko is either willing or competent enough to maximize on Justin Fields' abilities better than Luke Getsy was. Maybe Andrew Janoko is not married as much to Luke Getsy's system as he otherwise would be, and maybe he'll just use Justin Fields in a better way. So let's say the scenario is that you get Andrew Janoko in as a play caller, and you keep Justin Fields, and maybe the rest of the season becomes salvageable. Okay, so you become like a 500 team. Justin Fields looks good, and you can hope that Justin Fields can maybe one day be potentially a Pro Bowl quarterback or something along those lines. Now, on the flip side, if you're married to Luke Getsy, you better be damn sure that his system is foolproof and that Justin Fields is the problem. Because the people behind him are Nathan Peterman and rookie Tyson Bagent. Maybe it will look better. And I'm okay with experimenting at this point because I don't want to see 15 more weeks of this. I can't. I don't know how I'm supposed to watch 15 more weeks of this. But if Tyson Bagent can come out and hit rhythm plays and execute an offense and hit guys in their catching pocket where they're supposed to be caught, then maybe this will look better. The other scenario is you better hope that Luke Getsy's system is so meticulous and well thought out that he can make Nathan Peterman and a rookie look really good. And so that's the realistic scenarios that you're facing right now.
It's funny when you look at certain guys that play this position. Tom Brady's my favorite. Even when trying to pull tape on Joe Burrow, there isn't. I tried to put a highlight video of one of Joe Burrow's playoffs games. I couldn't do it. There was no 20, 30-yard passes. It was just 3-yard pass, 8-yard pass, a couple yard run, 10-yard pass, 4-yard pass. It's like cutting you with a knife, but the knife's a little sharper than Tom Brady had. It's meticulous, and they just take what the defense gives them. I believe at some point, if you're going to look at a long-term outlook here, you need a guy at the quarterback position that is going to be capable of just taking whatever the defense gives them. You need to be able to read the defenses and process it. And it's Justin Fields' third year. There's a lot of concern that this isn't clicking in his head. I mean, the stats are very comparable to Mitch Trubisky. Mitch Trubisky actually has better stats if you look at the numbers. Eye test will tell us that, of course, Fields is a much, much, much better, more experienced athlete, but it's the results are the results. I don't make them up. They're just there, right? I think if it keeps going the way it's going, I think what's most likely to happen is, and it was my bold prediction that Fields is going to start all 17 games. Yeah, throw that out the window. He's going to get hurt. He's going to get hurt. He's taken so many sacks even over his career. He's one of the most sacked quarterbacks. I believe he's taken like a total of over 100 sacks, while Patrick Mahomes has taken maybe nearly half that in the same time span.
I want to say David Carr has Andrew Luck has the most sacks through like 7 years of a career, and Justin Fields is on pace to double it.
I said it last year. My only concern is this is not a way to groom a quarterback. This is a way to destroy a quarterback. And it looks like we've destroyed him.
Moving into next week against Kansas City, do you keep Justin Fields as your starter or do you try something new?
I think you have to keep Justin Fields in as your starter. I think based off what he did last year, he's earned the right to be at the helm of this until, if they don't win a game through, I don't know, 5-6 games, it's a different story, but I think you give them a legitimate shot to sit there, and I don't know, maybe they pull the plug earlier than that, but I think week 3, Kansas City, you do start Justin Fields. What I'm worried about is that he does well enough, or the team does well enough to kind of have it be somewhat of a competitive game, because Kansas City is actually, they're underperforming from what they normally do. And even though you still lose, I think people are going to try and pull, good points out of a loss, and we'll be 0-3 and trying to make a positive spin on it, like it's turning around for the better. But 0-3 is
Yeah.
not good. Yeah, so I say you start Justin Fields, Kansas City. I mean, do you
Yeah.
think you start him?
I think you clearly start Justin Fields. I don't think it's even a debate. I think anything less than that is laughable, and obviously because you're going to roll out Luke Getsy and Justin Fields for one more week. So I think you have to start Justin Fields and give him at least 3 to 4 more weeks of ineptitude before you even consider benching him.
Like I said, at this point, I don't know he would survive that long.
Yeah, seriously. That's such a fair point. But you know what's funny? He might do that to himself because he's taking sacks and running into defenses that he does not need to do.
I got to tell you, defensive ends are playing Fields differently. They're not going all in. They're not biting in inside. They're kind of waiting out there on the edges a little bit. And when Fields tries to scramble out, they're already a step ahead of them, and that's where they need to be in
NFL,
order to
man.
get him. But yeah, they got taped. They caught up on him. So now it's almost like, dude,
What can you do next?
you're gonna have to learn to pass. You're gonna have to throw the ball. Like it's
You have
what
to
it comes down
evolve.
to.
Yeah,
You do.
you have to evolve. Going into Kansas City, what's your score prediction? How do you think the game's going to go? It's a 3 p.m. game in Kansas City in Arrowhead. How do you feel this is going?
Yeah, I think we get slaughtered, unfortunately. I predicted 2 Bears wins in a row, but the whole time, even my preseason prediction, week 3 at Arrowhead, this is probably one of your toughest games of the season. One of the most talented rosters you'll face all year. Best quarterback on the other side of the football. I would not be surprised if they win by 14 or more. I mean, and at the end of the day, maybe the score will be a little bit lower, but if it is, it'll be because the points on our end come in garbage time. They'll get such a lead early on, and then they'll let us just kind of score a touchdown or something and feel good about ourselves. But
Any
just
final
eating
score
up the clock.
predictions?
Oh man, I don't even know if I want to, but we put
Give
up
it a shot.
what 22 weeks in a row. So I'm guessing 34-20, 38-20 again, like week
Okay.
1.
So I guess I'm going to be the positive one this week. I think this game is going to be a lot closer than people predict. I think Kansas City can do essentially whatever they want on offense. If they wanted to run the ball for 150 yards, I think they could. If they wanted to throw the ball for 400 yards, I think they could. And Patrick Mahomes has never, I mean, other than practice, I don't think he'll ever face less pressure in his life. My hopefulness, and this is where you're going to get me being hopeful versus you. I think Luke Getsy is literally coaching for his job. I think you're going to see an offense get off to a hot start this week. I think you're going to see a throw the kitchen sink at him game. And I think you're going to see like the Bears take an early lead, but then inevitably lose. So I think you're going to see the Bears bring back some of that offensive game plan that they brought mid-year last year against New England, essentially. And you're going to see a lot of that come back by week 3 of this year. So you're going to see like a 10-3, 13-3 Bears lead at the beginning just instantly fall apart as soon as Kansas City adjusts because they're going to be outcoached. The Bears do not have a good coaching staff. They think they're clever. They might have some talent, but I think inevitably it's going to catch up to them and you're going to lose 27-16. I think maybe a touchdown. It's going to be closer than you think. It's going to be a lot closer than you think. So far, Allen Williams isn't coming back. Eberflus called a good game. Defense is looking better. Receivers are terrible on Kansas City. And they just match up really well. So I think you're going to see a closer game than you predict. I'm predicting like a 27-20 game, 27-19 Chiefs. You're definitely going to lose because you're just going to get outcoached. But in terms of how it's going to go, I think it's going to be 27-20 Chiefs. Early lead by the Bears.
Remember what our last win was?
New England Patriots.
We didn't get outcoached in that game, did we?